Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today I am going to show you my first free hit draft for Game Week 22. As you guys know, there have been some double Game Week fixtures announced just today, so I'm really excited about that. Obviously, I kind of had a look at my team as it was and I thought, you know what, there's not too many double Game Week players in my team. Maybe this is the time to use a free hit. So I thought I'd start experimenting and I'm going to show you today what I've come up with, and I think you're going to like this. I cannot stress enough, this is definitely not a final team or anything like that, but this is very much my first thoughts on a free hit draft. So hopefully you do enjoy this video, and if you do, please do leave a like and please do subscribe as well if you're new around here. I would massively appreciate that. But without further ado, guys, I think we crack on and have a look at how I hope to set up with a Game Week 22 free hits. So the team value of this team is 104.2 million. I have been using my own budget to make this team, but obviously if you want to use this as inspiration for your own teams, obviously you can make some changes, maybe try and cut the budget down a little bit, or maybe you have more budget and you want to spend even more, whatever guys. But let's start off in goal with David De Gea. Really excited about this one. I think if you are going to go for a free hit this game week, David De Gea seems like a really obvious choice. So those of you who have De Gea in your teams anyway, maybe that's one indication that maybe you don't need to free hit, but definitely, if you are on a free hit, De Gea looks really good. You know, he's playing really well as a goalkeeper at the moment. He's making loads of really good saves. He seems to be in good form again, like kind of back to his best in a way, which is really nice to see. And, you know, Manchester United do concede a few shots, and De Gea is called upon. So, save points, but also a good chance of clean sheets as well. Because, to be fair, Manchester United, they don't actually concede that many goals at the moment. So, it's not actually too bad. I know they conceded a goal against Wolves, but, you know, these things happen, right? I do think that over the course of these two games, Aston Villa and Brentford, because it is a double game week for Manchester United, Aston Villa and Brentford, surely there's going to be a clean sheet in there, maybe against Brentford, maybe against Aston Villa. You don't know for sure which one it's going to be, but you feel like there's going to be a decent amount of save points and at least one clean sheet over the two fixtures. So we're kind of looking at maybe a 10-pointer or more for De Gea, which is phenomenal for a goalkeeper. We absolutely love that. So yeah, this is the goalkeeper I would go for on a free hit for sure. You know, well, as things stand right now, this is the one I go for. So yeah, there you go, guys. Into midfield, defense. Sorry, I'm losing what position I'm in. Into defense, we're going to start off with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's one of two players in this team who are not on a double game week, because a lot of the time when you kind of look at these double game weeks and you're kind of doing a free hit, it's very easy to get carried away with all of the double game week players and kind of actually ignore the teams that actually have really good single game week fixtures. And we know a player like Trent Alexander-Arnold, he scores like double the amount of most other defenders on a normal game week anyway. So, you know, you can look at other players who have double game weeks. Trent in one game can outscore all of these other defenders, right? We've seen it so many times this season. It's why he's, you know, clear as the top scoring, point scoring defender in the Premier League this year, kind of up there with Cancelo. After that, you know, no one's really scoring the points that Trent is, right? And you go, we've got this home game against Brentford. We know this is a really good fixture. We've already spoken about it with De Gea of it being a really good fixture. So at home, you know, Liverpool hopefully going to have all of their defensive players back by then, you know, goalkeeper and the like. So hopefully this is going to be back to Liverpool being able to very easily keep a clean sheet here. And with Trent, you know, there's always a really good chance of those goal scoring opportunities as well. So if you are going, you know, trying to go all in on those double game week players, don't forget about a player as incredible as Trent. That's all I'm going to say on that one. So leave him in. We've got Marcos Alonso next. So I did think about how am I going to get a Chelsea player in? What kind of Chelsea player would I want over this double game week? Would I want any? Kind of looks at Mason Mount as an option, you know, but I don't know. Mason Mount, Lukaku, I'm not really too keen on them. I look at these two fixtures, Man City away, Brighton there as well. I kind of look at those fixtures and think these are not great fixtures for getting goals. You know, Man City and Brighton, two fairly good teams in terms of, you know, defensive ability. These are fairly good defensive teams, right? So with them being away games as well, I don't know. I'm not convinced that I want to go for an attacker. But on the other hand, we still got to recognise that Chelsea, despite maybe they've not been in the greatest form of the season at this present moment, they are still one of the best teams in the league. And when one of the best teams in the league does have a double game week, we can't ignore this. I know it's very easy to bash Chelsea right now, but as much as you might want to say, oh, Chelsea are in really bad form right now, they've not dropped below teams like Everton or Brentford or anyone like that, and people were more than happy to double and triple up on teams like that last game week, right? So I think we can squeeze in a Chelsea player. And a game against Brighton, I think there's a good chance of a clean sheet there, and even against Man City. With a player like Marcus Alonso, we saw him against Liverpool. We didn't really expect him to get anything against Liverpool, and then he gets an assist. When you're on the set pieces and when you're playing high up the pitch, when you're putting a lot of crosses in and stuff like that, when you're in those right areas, sometimes you will get points, and you can say, oh, they're lucky points or whatever. If you're in the right places, you're making your own luck in a way, and that's exactly what Marcus Alonso does. There's not really too many fullbacks available at Chelsea right now, unless something changes very soon and then they buy new fullbacks. You would expect Alonso to be nailed over the 2 games as well. So lots to like about this one, really. It's not something that is going to be incredible, phenomenal necessarily, but I think out of the double game week defenders, there's actually not too much that is too interesting in terms of the defensive players. So I do think Alonso is one of the better ones to go for, to be honest. And then we're going to finish off the defense, a 3-man defense with Ben Davies, who I've kind of been singing his praises a fair amount recently. I do think that he is probably going to be one of the most nailed-on defenders at Spurs. I know a few people will probably be tempted by a Reguilon or an Emerson. I do have a minor concerns about these players. Maybe Doherty coming in, Sessegnon if he is back available. I'm not sure what the schedule of getting Sessegnon available is right now, but I do have concerns about some of these the fullbacks at Spurs at the moment. And when we're going for a double game week, one of the first factors we need to consider is who is nailed on, who's most likely to play. And Ben Davies does seem like he's going to, he seems like he's having a little bit of a resurgence here under Conte. Conte, I think, really likes him as a player, and I do think that he is going to play both games across the double. So if you are going to go for a Spurs defender, maybe Davies is the one. But also I like about Davies is the fact that he actually has quite a lot of freedom in that left centre-back role. He does actually charge up the pitch quite a lot. You wouldn't necessarily expect it from a player who's essentially playing as a centre-back, but actually he's playing it really reasonably advanced at times, and you can see him getting shots off and putting in key passes as well, which is really important, and it's why he has actually managed to gain a few points since Conte has come in. Spurs also, we're looking at these fixtures. You're saying Arsenal at home, Leicester away. They're not the best fixtures. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This double game week does not have the most phenomenal fixtures in the world, but they're still double game weeks. But what we have to remember with Spurs is that they have been the best defence of recent game weeks. Since Conte has come over, they have been one of, if not the best defence in the Premier League. You can say they had some easy fixtures. Fair enough, I do understand that point, but still, we do have to recognise that the defensive situation at Spurs has improved drastically. So even in a couple of difficult fixtures, the best defences still do often keep those clean sheets. So I would not be entirely surprised to see clean sheets against Arsenal and Leicester, to be honest. Arsenal, of course, have really important games as well, either side of the Spurs. Really important cup games either side of this Spurs Premier League fixture. So is there going to be rotation for Arsenal, resting of players at Arsenal? Arsenal's obviously got a couple of players going off to AFCON as well. Is that going to thin the squad a little bit? You do feel like that this Spurs double is not so bad. Arsenal, maybe resting some players for the more important cup games, I guess. But also, this Leicester team has got a lot of players missing through AFCON injury and stuff like that. So you wouldn't be entirely surprised if maybe there was a clean sheet there as well against Leicester. Either way, guys, even if there's no clean sheets, if Davies somehow manages to get 2 points from either game, that's still a full pointer, and that's what you got to remember at the end of the day. Even if your double game week defender can't get 2 clean sheets, they still obviously have that chance of just getting a standard 4 points just for playing in both games, and that is a real dub in itself, and far better than what you can expect from most 4.5 defenders, right? But anyway, the defense options, not amazing, not absolutely amazing. So we're going to move on into midfield, and I'm going to start you off with Heung-min Son, who is probably, I'm sure you guys will agree, probably one of the most crucial players to own in this game week. Arsenal at home, Leicester away, as we know, because we just spoke about it with Davies. But Son has been pretty good. You know, he's been recording some really good stats for this Spurs team. Well, I want to say since Conte's come in, but you know, Son has been the star attacker for Spurs this season in a lot of the time where Kane has not been at his best. So yeah, especially against an Arsenal team and a Leicester team who will not change their style depending on the opponent that they face. You do feel like a really strong counter-attacking player like Son could potentially thrive in games like this, you know, because at the end of the day, Arsenal and Leicester are not going to go to Spurs, well, play against Spurs with a lack of confidence. They're not. They're just not going to do that. And Son, we often find that he kind of maybe sometimes struggles against a low block and actually thrives against a team that is prepared to play football against them. And I think both these teams will be prepared to play football against them. So, you know, in that sense, could this be really beneficial for Son? I'm kind of thinking that might be the way that it goes, to be honest, and that's why I do have that confidence of having Son in this team as our most premium midfielder, actually, the most premium midfielder. But don't worry, guys, the money will be spent, but it won't be spent too much in midfield, let me tell you that. But we have got another fairly expensive midfielder in Jota, and he's also the only other player in this starting 11 who has a single game week. When we're looking at Liverpool right now, we still do. I know we're looking at a Liverpool without a Salah or a Mane. I still do think that Liverpool are going to keep grinding out results. I don't see why they wouldn't. They're still one of the best teams in the Premier League. You know, they're not a team that is. You can't say they're entirely dependent in just Salah and Mane. Yes, that's going to have a huge impact on them. But there's many other good players in that Liverpool team. Trent, we've already spoken about. Jota is another one of those players, and Jota has been playing really well this season. You know, he's pretty much nailed himself on as a starting 11 in this Liverpool team, and he's scoring a lot of goals. He's getting assists. He's really you know, doing everything. He's been a fantastic FPL asset. He's been a really useful player for Liverpool to have. So I still do think he's going to be a good player with or without you know, Salah and Mane there. You know, we're potentially going to have a Firmino up there with him, which is going to be very nice. You know, we know how beneficial Firmino is in a Liverpool team. Yes, Firmino may not necessarily get the goals or assists himself, or maybe not the goals anyway. But what he does is he does allow the players around him to play a lot better. And if we are going to finally see the introduction of Firmino back in this team with the absence of some other players, this could be pretty good for Jota. That could actually benefit Jota more. So he's another one of those players which I think would be unwise to ignore Jota in this game week, to be honest. So, you know, that's all I'm going to say on that one. But I do think Jota still deserves a really good shout of being in our free hit teams. We'll move on to Maddison. I'm going to try and speed things up a little bit because I know I'm talking a lot about each player, but you know, I've got so much to say. It's been a couple of days since I made a video. I've got so much to say. But we've got Maddison next. You know, a personal favourite player of mine, as you guys will know. Burnley away, fantastic fixture. Burnley last couple of games have let 6 goals in, I think. So they are really conceding a lot of goals at the moment. They're really not performing too well, Burnley, and you know, they are obviously one of the weaker teams in the Premier League and a team that we will typically try and target. So Maddison has been in phenomenal form. He's scored something like, I think it's six goal contributions, so 3 goals, 3 assists in his last 5 games, which is just phenomenal. I think if you go to his last 6 games, it's even more, because he scored another goal and another 2 assists. So, you know, what I'm basically saying is he's getting a ridiculous amount of goal returns. He's in a wicked vein of form on set pieces as well. Really incredible stuff from Maddison. He has that confidence. Fair enough, he's missed a few games because games have been cancelled, but he is that guy at Leicester. If we're going to go for a Leicester player, Maddison is the one. And to have Maddison on a double game week, I mean, we saw what he did against Man City. So, you know, even if you say Tottenham is a really hard game, which, you know, defensively Spurs have been standing upright, even if you say that's a hard game, over the course of these 2 games, you could genuinely see Maddison getting an insane haul. You know, we could be looking at 20 points or more. It's possible, right? And that's what we want to capitalise on. We want to capitalise on the possible. And that's what I really like. And then we're going to finish off the midfield with a super differential. You guys know I like to keep things fairly spicy. So this is my spicy pick of the week. And that's Ademola Lookman. 0.3% ownership as I make this video, which is really low. Same fixtures obviously as Maddison, because he plays for Leicester. But why am I going for Lookman? This is really a strange pick, right? Well, let me tell you why I'm going for Ademola Lookman. And the basic answer is that he will be, well, at least I predict, he will be the striker for Leicester. He's going to be the Leicester striker. Vardy is injured. Vardy's not expected back until game week 23 at the earliest, so there's not going to be any Vardy in this Leicester team. We've also got the situation with the AFCON players. Daka, Iheanacho, both of those players are at AFCON, probably as I speak, to be honest. They've jetted off, so it kind of leaves the only viable striker really at Leicester right now is Lookman. So Lookman is a striker, super differential. Maybe you say, okay, that actually plays into the hands of Burnley and Tottenham that Leicester don't have an out-and-out striker right now. But if you look at it the other way, maybe we can find a nice, cheap differential player playing out of position, player who is really, really, differential, everything. There's so much to like about going for a Lookman. It's kind of risky, but at the same time, is it risky? He's probably going to be playing both games because there's no other strikers to play anyway. So, yeah, I think this could be a genuinely fantastic differential pick, and honestly, I'm really excited to see if it pays off or not. I really like this Lookman shout. Obviously, I don't have more confidence in him than I do Maddison or a Son. Obviously, I have more confidence in a Maddison or a Son, but as a player who's this cheap, this differential, how nice is it to have a situation like this? We can just take that 1 week punt on a player where kind of seemingly all of the cards have laid out perfectly for Lookman. I'm going into the forward positions. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo. No surprise here, really. I mean, if you're going to go for a Manchester United attacker, who else are you going to go for? I kind of played with the idea of going for a Sancho, but you never know with the rotation that Sancho's kind of faced recently. Rashford, I don't know. Is Cavani going to come back into the team? Do we go for Greenwood? But Greenwood doesn't seem to be getting the respect he kind of deserves at the moment at Manchester United as well. Ronaldo, on the other hand, seems nailed, and we kind of had some doubts. Is Ronaldo going to be getting dropped occasionally, maybe getting rested occasionally? The answer has pretty much turned out to be no. He's going to be playing every single game, and you just don't drop a player of that quality even if he isn't performing all the time in the way that you want. So yeah, 2 games, Aston Villa away, not an ideal fixture, but at the same time I'm not convinced by an Aston Villa clean sheet here, and if someone's going to score in this game, you're probably going to put it down to being Ronaldo, right? Brentford, on the other hand, really, really nice fixture. A fixture we really like. A fixture where you would expect Manchester United to go there and get a goal or two. A couple of goals would be good. Maybe even more than a couple of goals. That's kind of where we hope that Manchester United would be right now. Obviously, it hasn't been going to plan completely, but you still do expect that the team that Manchester United have, they should go and batter Brentford, really. And maybe by the time that Brentford game comes around, maybe they'll have their stuff together, right? Maybe that'll be the time where everything kind of starts coming into place a little bit for Manchester United. So Ronaldo, really good pick for this game. If you're going to go for a Manchester United attacker, Ronaldo seems like the obvious one, right? Particularly if you can cut some corners price-wise in the rest of your team. We've got Harry Kane as the next pick. Again, we're looking at this Arsenal and Leicester fixture. Leicester, we know they're bad defensively. We just know that. We wouldn't be looking at getting any Leicester defenders in, I don't think, at the moment. But, on the other hand, we would probably be targeting Leicester with our attackers, and that's exactly what we're doing with Harry Kane. The Arsenal game as well. We know Harry Kane's record against Arsenal is phenomenal. Really, really good. It's one of his favourite teams to play against, really. And also the fact that we have penalties with Harry Kane as well. He's in many ways a player who gets a lot of his points through penalties. It contributes a significant amount of his appeal, right? Which is something that Son doesn't necessarily offer. So over the course of 2 games, that's double the chances of a penalty occurring in a game week. That's always really, really nice. And when forwards get goals, even if it's a goal from a penalty, they do typically get bonus points as well. And that's kind of what we're going to be eyeing up, really, with our Harry Kane. That's why we're going to be going for it. Well, we've got a couple of penalty takers in this team, really, haven't we? Ronaldo and Kane there. So overall, really quite like that. Kane still reasonably differential. Kane seemingly getting into a little bit better form. We're finally seeing him actually scoring goals. Why couldn't he have done this when we all brought him into our teams a couple of months ago? I don't know. We'll leave that in the past, but we'll give him a second chance on a free hit. I know a lot of people are eyeing him up in non-free hit teams as well. So, yeah, really nice pick for a free hit team. And we're going to finish off the forward line with Dennis here. Newcastle and Burnley. 2 amazing fixtures. So we really like these fixtures. The problem is with Watford is who do we go for in terms of their team, and in terms of players who are, you know, taking a lot of shots, you know, creating. There is basically nothing outside of Dennis and King. There really isn't. So you can go two ways. You can go for King, a player who's typically had the better stats and is on penalties. Although we have seen Dennis actually improve his stats, and Dennis's underlying stats are actually better than King's as well. So let's go for Dennis. Form player. I know he got yanked at half-time last game, but Dennis against Newcastle and Burnley, surely this is a big one. I mean, if you are really crazy, you would even consider potentially captaining Dennis in this game, because those fixtures are really that good. And, you know, I'd be tempted to go for King as well, but I prefer Dennis. But, you know, if we were to drop a Ronaldo or a Kane, I think King would have to be the replacement, really. So, yeah, overall, Dennis is just a fabulous little player in great form, doing really well. He's happy. He's apparently happy, and he wants to work hard and stay at Watford despite you know, the AFCON shenanigans. He is very keen to play for Watford over these games and you know, prove himself and have what he is already having, which is the best season of his career. So good on him. You know, absolute respect for that, and let's see what he can do across these two phenomenal fixtures. Let's get up the bench quickly, and this is you know, this is very optional and kind of not really set in stone, really. You know, this could change very easily, but I've got Carson on the bench just because he's 3.9 billion, pretty cheap goalkeeper to go for, the cheapest goalkeeper you can possibly go for, really. I've got some other players on here. Lowton, I'm not too keen on the Burnley defence right now, to be honest. So I didn't really want to put him in the first starting lineup. Although Leicester and Watford, they're not the worst fixtures in the world, are they? But you know, they're certainly not incredible either. We have seen, despite Leicester and Watford's defensive fragilities, we have seen both of those teams score some goals. And you know, I think that the combination of a bad defence and some actually not bad attacks means that maybe Lowton is kind of looking at a 4-pointer kind of thing, maybe even a 3-pointer even in the double game week. We've got Cucurella, Crystal Palace and Chelsea. I just quite like the Brighton defence, and if you're going to go for a Brighton defender, why not Cucurella? Not a bad shout, really. He's probably the best defensive asset that Brighton have, so you know, he's a consideration as well. So I've put him on the bench for now, just to kind of remind me that he's a player that we could possibly consider if we wanted to. And then we've got Sissoko, 4.4, really cheap midfielder there. So, you know, one of the cheapest possible midfielders you can get, and he's got a double game week. So if we do, for whatever reason, you know, there's an absolute emergency and we are dependent on Sissoko, then yeah, maybe that could get us a nice 4-pointer. To be honest, that's what we're looking at, really, isn't it? Even from Sissoko. So there we go, guys. That is the team. Let's slap a captain and a vice captain on this team, just for the fun of it, I suppose. I'm going to go for Son for captain. I'd say he's the player I'd be most convinced by this game week. Obviously, consideration to Kane as well, but you know, you wouldn't want to go captain and vice captain in the same double game week. I don't think. I think you want to go for different teams in terms of your captains and your vice captains. So yeah, we'll go for Son as the captain. Arsenal and Leicester, two good fixtures. Arsenal's not a great fixture, but it's a good fixture for Spurs. You know, a lot of form and stuff goes out the window in these big derby games, I suppose. And Arsenal haven't been great against the best teams. They've been kind of, the way Arsenal have been good is kind of been against the lower teams, and actually against the top teams. Arsenal have not actually, you know, been too great. And a big derby like this, you do think that Spurs will go balls to the wall and put in a really good performance. So not a bad fixture there, and home game as well. And then Leicester is obviously a fixture, a team that we are really targeting at the moment in terms of who are the worst defences in the Premier League. Leicester are one of the worst defences in the Premier League. So yeah, really nice captain there. And for vice captain, let's go for Ronaldo. You know, premium player like that. Double game week, Aston Villa and Brentford, and not an average fixture and a decent fixture. I suppose he's obviously a consideration for captain as well, so we'll stick the vice captain on him. And there you go. That concludes the free hit team. Not bad. Not bad at all. I think this is a pretty nice team. Obviously, there's a long time to change our minds. Lots of things could change. COVID, obviously, is constantly shifting the dynamic of everything. So I'm not even going to consider hitting the free hit button yet. Not even going to bother doing that. We're just going to see how things go and see how things play out. But this is what I'm looking at, guys. This is the team that I like for a free hit as things stand. I'm sure there'll be future drafts of you know, me mixing it up, but you'll have to wait and see if I change my mind on any of these things, I suppose. But there we go, guys. Hopefully you like what you see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like and do subscribe for future videos as well. When I'll be revealing my final free hit team, assuming I use a free hit, I'll be announcing my final free hit team in a week's time, obviously. So yeah, hopefully you guys will stick around for that as well. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.